If you've never seen this sampler before, this is a Roland MKS-100. Now, this sampler was released in 1986 with a maximum sample rate of 30 kilohertz. The maximum sampling time in this sampler is about 4 seconds, and it has 8 notes of polyphony. Now, this sampler is basically a rack-mounted version of the Roland S10, a sampling keyboard that also came out around that same era. The Roland S10 is a keyboard that I would love to get my hands on. Every now and then they pop up on the market, but I usually never have the funds to pick one up. And the main reason why I picked this sampler up is because it's a 12-bit sampler. Now, the 4-second sampling time is a little bit of a handicap, but the biggest reason why I wanted to pick this up is because I wanted to use it to run one-shot samples or drum sounds. Now, for the most part, you can still probably grab one of these for fairly cheap. I got an extremely magnificent deal on this one, way below market price. And so far, I've really been enjoying it, and it's been worth every single dollar. My two biggest complaints, obviously, one of them being the sampling time, the second one being the screen. As you can see right now, the sampler is actually on, but the screen is so light and dull that you cannot see it from this angle. Basically, from this angle that I'm currently looking at it right now, you can't see any numbers, you can't see any letters, you can't see anything. You literally have to hover over the sampler in order for you to be able to see what you're doing. And I find myself doing that quite a lot with this one. The good news about this is that not too long ago, I ordered a replacement screen from a guy in Croatia who just happens to build screens for this Roland MKS-100, which is very specific and very niche. But I'm happy he exists, and I'm happy he creates them. That way I can throw a nice screen on this digital sampler. I will say that the process probably requires me to desolder the old screen, so hopefully I don't mess things up in the process, but we're going to have to give it a shot. Another thing that I would really want to upgrade is the floppy drive. I found a guy on eBay that for $80 he will supply you with a floppy emulator with a ton of Roland disk. So that's another thing that's on my list to pick up for this sampler, to upgrade the floppy drive and probably go over some of those legendary Roland discs. But like I mentioned, this sampler is a very unique sampler. I mainly want to use it for one-shots and drum sounds. So today what we're going to do, we're going to try to make a beat using the Roland MKS-100, and we'll see how it goes. Let's get it. Okay guys, the goal for today is to make a beat using the Roland MKS-100. I already went ahead and sampled a drum break into it. Keep in mind the sampler can only sample up to 4 seconds. So sampling drum breaks, I think, is where this thing shines. If you want to sample actual samples, just keep in mind that it's only 4 seconds, so it's better to just sample maybe one shot, maybe a single chord or a key or a guitar lick. I can see where it might get a little bit more complicated when you start working with longer samples. So what I wanted to do is I just wanted to show you guys the comparison. So this is going to be the original drum break. Let me play it one more time. Now this is going to be the drum break that I recorded into the Roland MKS-100. I went ahead and just pitched down the drum break just a tiny bit, and I chopped it up already, and these are going to be the chops. So I'm going to try to make a drum groove with those chops. Let's see what we can come up with. So for the most part, I got a little drum pattern that I'm happy with. I like the groove. Now I will say I'm not extremely excited about the tone of my kick drums. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically separate everything into its own individual tracks. We're going to go ahead and add some processing to make those drum sounds just a little bit nicer. So I added these 3 little elements to my drum groove just to kind of spice it up a little bit. This little laser sound, I was messing around with it the other day. I kind of came up with it. It's not the prettiest sounding, but I think it should work. Now that I got a decent drum groove going, I'm going to go ahead and chop up this sample. This sample actually comes from a video game called Terranigma on the Super Nintendo. For any video game, retro video game fans, you know what this is. So let's go ahead and chop it up, have fun with it. Let's see what we can come up with. This is going to be kind of a rough version of the beat. Let me know what you guys think. Let's go.